Welcome back to Take Control 360. Glad you're back for another episode. This is part 2 of Lessons of a Previous Generation. I hope you were able to watch the first one. If you haven't, the link is below. Please check it out. In case you weren't with us before, basically what I decided to do is I interviewed one of the most influential persons in my life, which is my dad. And what I did is I asked him some topics and he gave fantastic answers. So let's get started and let's complete this. Another topic I talked to my dad was stress. You know, growing up, especially in my school years, both high school and college, and starting out my work life, and then my first couple of years as an entrepreneur, stress was something that I definitely had trouble with. A lot of things that I, worried about or trying to figure out things. I was focusing too much on what others were thinking, what their perception was, or was I meeting up to different standards? Or another thing could be that, I was worrying about things that really I had no control over. And I remember having one conversation with my dad, and he asked me a question. He says, will the worrying change the result of the situation you're in? And that kind of baffled me, and I kind of was taken back and went, what are you talking about? And basically he said, will the worrying change the situation? And me thinking that I have an answer for everything, I right away started to blurt out an answer, and then I stopped because I really didn't have an answer. The answer is no. Of course worrying won't change the outcome. He said, then why worry? And once you realize that impact, it stops you in your tracks and you start to think, yeah, why worry? And when you free up the worrying, what happens is what you do is you free up now your mind can focus on the problem or situation at hand, and you can solve that a lot better than also in your mind you're worrying about something. Okay, that's wasted energy. And that's what my dad said. When he said that point, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, yeah, wow. He has a lot of great things to say about stress. Check out what he has to say. Let's talk about stress. It's part of everyone's lives, different level of stress. How you handle it, how don't you handle it. With you, what would be the number one thing that you do when stress hits you?
I've learned I learned sort of in the beginning when I was, especially in high school, where I had a lot of things going on internally. And that brought me to almost a point which I was sort of getting sick. And I went to the doctor once, and the doctor says, you're on the verge of getting ulcers. You have to change your lifestyle.
What age was this?
11th, 12th grade.
Okay.
Around then. So what I had to internally decide on my own was that worry is really getting me down. So I'm not going to worry. If worry changes things, then I'll worry. But as you know, worry never changes things.
All right, before you go further, so you're 11th or 12th grade. Saying that and doing that are probably two different things. What made you really do it? Was it the scare of the health concerns, or?
Yeah, it was.
So that really rocked you.
I didn't want to go to ulcers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I basically said internally, I have to change my lifestyle.
Did anyone besides the doctor kind of say to you the same thing? Brothers, sisters, friends?
No, not really. I sort of had to decide on myself that, I'm getting myself too worked up with worrying.
All right, but it's not a light switch. How did you do it?
It was a process of thinking. If something sort of started to agitate me, I'd just calm down and say, hey, this agitation isn't getting me anywhere. This worrying isn't getting me anywhere. So, and therefore it's not changing anything in my life or changing the situation that I'm worried about. So I said, if it isn't changing it, why am I worrying? So it sort of became a mantra for me that I'm not going to worry about it.
Now, when you were worrying about pretty much everything and anything. Or did you narrow it down that you really only worried about things that were affecting you, or did you worry about lots of other things?
No, the things that are affecting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did anything, a system, how did you change from almost having ulcers to not? I mean, there had to have been, you can't like walk in one day and say,
No, it was a process. It was a process. It was a mental process of saying whether worrying was going to affect something or whether it wasn't. Or whether I should stress out and worry about this or stress out and get myself all tight and agitated, which I didn't want to do. So therefore I sort of had a mental check
so how'd you let go of it?
over time.
Was there a process that worked for you? That did you ask it when you got yourself in that situation of worrying? Did you have a quick question that you would ask yourself? Is it worth it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would say. Is this worth it? Is this worth me getting ulcers over it?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, it isn't.
So what things would be categorized that you would say, yeah, it's worth it in your life, in your spin? You would say, yes, this is worth worrying about. No, this isn't.
I don't worry.
You don't worry at all?
I don't worry at
Even
all.
if something major happens?
Don't worry about it.
Really?
It's out of my hands. What's the sense of worrying about it?
So you went from worrying about everything to worry about nothing.
Exactly.
You should write a book. You should write a book. That's awesome.
No, my wife does all the worrying.
Yeah.
I won't say I don't worry about anything. Worry is not the word for me. I'll be concerned about things, but I won't worry about them.
Now, there's different levels of problem solving. Okay, there's different levels of solving through problems, and maybe worrying got involved in some of these things. Did you help with that? I mean, problem solving, did that ever happen that you would help with stress or have a system?
Not a system, really. It was sort of saying, okay, I can work through this without getting stressed out. And that sort of became sort of my mantra, is saying, how can I work through this without really getting stressed out?
Now, there is also level of stress, not the worrying part, but other people. Did other people ever stress you out?
I might get agitated with other people, but I won't get stressed over them. So there again, my experience in life is that if they're going to get agitated or trying to agitate me, that's their problem, not my problem.
Again, you should write a book. It's coming soon, folks. From ulcers to nothing. That's impressive. That's definitely impressive. Our next topic is about leadership. And my dad was an entrepreneur. He didn't run his own company, but he definitely was put in leadership roles, and he definitely was a leader. Okay. It didn't happen with an office with a view. He didn't have, it didn't matter about a name plate on a desk or a title. He just led by example. He didn't have a template for leadership. He would take each individual situation differently. Whether it was an issue, a crisis, problem solving, didn't matter to him. He looked at each one individually. And who was on his team, what were their assets, took all that into account. Basically what happened is he would determine, was this a situation where he was going to delegate, teach, or maybe, just do some stuff solo, okay? He went into a situation knowing what it was and then would tell the team exactly what it was. That was his air of confidence. People just gravitated to him, and people just became calm because he was calm. That was the type of leader that he did. That was the leadership. It wasn't in my way or the highway. Led by example, and he just was nice and calm. He was an incredible people person. Hear more about his leadership skills and what he has to say. All right, so over the years, especially going through Tufts, going up the food chain in Tufts, you develop leadership skills.
Right.
If I'm on an interview right now with you and you're trying to describe your leadership skills, what would it be?
My leadership skills basically comes from mentoring, watching other people in their leadership roles, and experience. I sort of have to see what works and what doesn't work. I can't blatantly say this is going to work across the board because I'm working with people, and people are different throughout the whole spectrum. So I have to look at not only the situation, I have to look at the person itself. Is that person going to give me the right kind of job the way I would like to see it, or is he going to go on his own way? And if a person goes on his own way, then I have to, there's my leadership experience now. I'm going to have to bring him back.
So, if you had to determine your leadership skill, would it be no I in team, or would it be my way or the highway?
No, I can't say no my way or the highway because, like I say, I just mentioned, it's a situation that's going to be how the persons under me are going to react to it, except for certain, certain dangers or something I know has to go a certain way, and that way it's my way or the highway, because certain things have to get done in certain ways, and there's no compromise as far as that goes. But for ordinary things, through my experience, they got to know me as what I could tolerate and what I couldn't tolerate.
Are you a delegate leader or more of lead by example?
Probably in between. Some things I have to delegate, but other things I know that certain people can do the job that I'm asking them to do, and I know that it'll get things done.
So you have to make sure that you form your right team too. Were you able in your situation to pretty much form your team, or did you have to go with the team that you were dealt with?
I have to go with the team that I'm dealt with because there are different, for instance, shifts, working shifts that they are assigned to. And if I'm on leave over them, then I have to go with what the assignments are. So I have to adapt to not only the assignment, but the people that are working in that assignment.
Do you have one person that you looked up to with leadership skills that you said, that's what I want to be like? Any one person?
I think my first chief of police was the one that helped me a lot as far as getting to where I wanted to be. And yeah, he was a terrific guy.
What kind of leadership did you, with him, that you said, okay, I'm picking this one out, I'm picking this one out, I love the way he did this?
There again, he was the kind of people person that I was attracted to. And the way he was able to work around his staff was sort of what I picked up, and I said, yeah, that's the kind of person I want to be also.
What leader or type of leader that really rubs you the wrong way?
I guess someone who insists on doing something that I know shouldn't be done, or in a way that shouldn't be done, and that won't listen to other people's ideas.
What would you do if you had a person in that situation with you?
It all depends on the situation and the person. Whether I could talk to them, or whether I could give suggestions to them. And if I couldn't, then I'd have to go along with what they want.
When did you get back with your father after the divorce and stuff? There was a time frame that you didn't associate with him, correct?
That's right.
How long of a time frame was that?
I would say a good 15 years,
Yeah.
10, 15 years.
All right, and now during that time, obviously, you were, so what years of your life was that time frame?
It was my senior year in high school up till probably the birth of my second child.
All right, what made you, so how did you get, so when you did so you had two kids, okay, up to that time, okay? Like you said, there is no manual when it comes to being a parent, especially father. All right. Luckily, I had a living manual, you. Okay? You didn't.
No.
What'd you do?
Like I say, it's just gut instinct. I really didn't say I could look at that person and say, hey, that's a great dad. I know
Yeah.
what I want to do.
Yeah.
It took me a while, and also it took me an inner struggle. and that I finally had to realize that, hey, I only got one dad in this world.
Yeah.
So I had to say, what am I going to do about this?
Yeah.
Whether other people like it or not, I have to not make amends, but I have to go seeking something.
So you were in your, would you say, so the second born, you were how old?
Mid-20s, late 20s.
Late 20s, so late 20s, and then he passed away in his 80s, right?
Late 80s.
So you were able to be with him a lot during that time frame?
Not
or?
a lot. I suppose it's sort of a hit or miss whether I wanted to get bonded or not. And it wasn't really something that I could do offhand. I made overtures in which, to visit him so he wanted to see his grandchildren,
Mm-hmm.
as far as that goes. But then he moved to Arizona, so I had very little time as far as visiting him. I was able to talk to him once in a while.
Did you keep in touch with Bert?
Yes.
So even throughout all those years, you kept in touch with Bert all those
Oh, yeah.
years?
Yeah.
And did he help you? You said at the beginning he helped you in the grammar school. Did he help you at any point another time? Did something maybe you leaned on?
Not really, but he was a hell of a guy
Mm-hmm.
that you couldn't help but love.
Now he was he local enough that you could see, or?
Yes, at that time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there any event that you said, man, I'm glad I'm here, besides the birth of your kids and wedding or whatever? Was there anything, that one thing that, wow, I'm glad I did that? Business-wise?
I would say, my last change in jobs. I figured, hey, here's a future I could live with. Because most of the jobs I had were long-term.
Mm-hmm.
It was not something that I had, 2 or 3 years and then changed or something like that. For instance, my hardware job was 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't willing to give up on anything as far as that goes. I looked at the job opportunities and I said, can I do this or can I do that? And then use it as a long-term basis. So when I went to Tufts, I said, yeah, I'm here for the long term.
Now, is there ever any career that, even though you had this career, you were like, after Tufts or during Tufts, you went, I wouldn't, if I only had the skills for that, I'd love to do that?
Not really.
No?
No. I was sort of satisfied with the jobs I had, with the experiences I was gaining, that I could say, yeah, I'm happy, because especially in the hardware store and especially at Tufts, I had that people skills that I loved back and forth with persons. I loved help solving problems. And, hardware, you're always solving problems, and with policemen, you're always solving problems. So those sort of gave me the internal gladness that I'm in this for the long haul.
So you didn't have any midlife career change or something that you went, oh, I'm burnt out of this, I gotta do this?
No, not really. No, not really. When I took on a task, I took on 100%. I said, this is what I have right now. This is what I'm sticking with.
Have any questions for me?
No, I just thank you for your interest and what you've done so far in your life.
Thank you very much. Like I said, I got the best mentor right here. All right, this has been a great show. Definitely one of my favorites. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know, and go visit my website, goalsresults.com. Until then, see you later. Nice job.
Thank you.
That was good. That was good. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have for topics in Lessons of a Private Generation. I hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you learned something. I had an amazing time doing it. Also had a lot of outtakes too. That was a blast as well. But it really was very special for me to do this. My dad is definitely a huge influence in my life. And I just wanted to share a part of him with you to see, you definitely can learn from the previous generation. So make sure, just because it's not about technology or not about situations that really aren't relevant anymore, make sure you link up with the previous generation and try as much as you can to get as much information, spend as much time with them as possible. I mean, it's great on both halves. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please comment below. I'd love to hear about your comments. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. And also, if you have any questions or anything, check out my website, goalsresults.com. In there, you can have a 30-minute consultation if you're interested. Just sign up. We'll talk. Also, what happens, if you haven't seen the first video, check it out. I got it linked here, and I also got it linked below. Hope to see you soon. We got another show coming for you next month, and also a video every Wednesday, so make sure you see all those. Take care and have a great day. All right, so now you're with Tufts, okay? And I remember this vividly, that you brought home a computer. In the 80s, it was a big thing. Even in the 70s, I remember that green screen, the IBM, the dual floppy system. All right, so obviously technology has changed as you started going through your Tufts years, okay? Now, a lot of people, especially at that time frame, said, I'm not adapting to technology. You didn't do that.
No.
Explain.
I saw the benefit of it. I saw the benefit not only at home, but at work. And the more knowledge I grew into that, I could let people know that, hey, this might be a good idea. Why don't we take a look into how this system would help the overall picture? And that's about the slow process, basically. It was a really slow process of getting into that.
So you did it on two fronts, did it on the family front and the business front at the same time.
That's right.
And so when you were first, obviously, now I'm not sure because I was young when this happened, actually not too young, but when you brought home that IBM, did you have one first at the office?
No. I sort of looked into it at Tufts itself.
Yeah.
They were sort of growing their computer program. So I was able to see what was going on as far as that goes. And I thought it was just a good idea to get some knowledge of that and incorporate it into both home and work.
Because the interesting thing is, so you brought that home to do both. Now, did this help you, because you were on the computer a lot too at the beginning, so it was more of an experimental on your part too as well,
That's right.
And then you exposed the, now again, I'm looking at this from different views here, but I definitely remember me using it and you using it. Did you see a lot of others, like the three girls and mom use it a lot, or did, like how did you say, okay, I want this for the whole family, but like how else did that happen?
It was a learning process. A learning process not only for myself, but it was a learning process for Carol and the family.
Yeah.
So it was sort of, hey, that looks good, how do I do that? And that's sort of the teaching part of it also. So I not only taught you kids how it looks and how it works and what it could do. That sort of, I guess, piqued the interest of the girls and yourself.
It definitely piqued my interest because obviously I went from that to computer science major in college, so obviously something piqued the interest there. So it's interesting that you brought that up to help out. Now, did you learn a lot on the side with that computer? Meaning, because obviously did you go back and say, hey, look, we need to have this more in the office?
No, it wasn't a need factor. It was sort of an educational factor also, letting them know that, hey, this could work in this way. This could help in this way. And surprisingly enough, I got the help of the computer department also, letting the bosses know that this is what can help us move into new technology.
So no one in your office was driving you to go to that technology. You took it upon yourself to say, hey, look, in order for us to get where we need to go, this is going to leverage us more.
Right, exactly.
All right, so even the people who were your bosses and stuff like that, you were going to them with a solution to maybe a problem they didn't even know they had.
Sort of. It was sort of a push toward that, and they weren't too sure how to move to that. And that's why I suggested, let's get the computer program in to see what it can or cannot do.
Did any of that overwhelm you? Because as more technology came in, because now before you left, I mean, they were totally computerized. So you went from introducing the computer system to the business all the way through to when you retired, they were totally computerized. So you, in that whole time frame there, so was there any overwhelm at all about that to you?
No, it was just a step-by-step process that as new technology came along to incorporate that. I went to seminars and went to stuff like that to learn more about it, and then come back to the department and say, hey, this is what I've learned. Maybe we can use that technology here.
Okay. All right, you want to take it out? Stop it, whatever you want to do? So that was a good one. See, this one, that's why I went 5 minutes. That was great.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right, here we go. All right. So I'm just going to go right into it. Okay. All right. So what were you the most confident? Wait. Good thing we got the. What were you the most confident? All right. What were you the most confident about over the years? Okay.
I don't have an answer for that.
Oh, you don't? Okay, then we'll go on to the next one. That solved that problem. Boy, how time flies. Look at this. Now we're on 3 already. Woohoo!
I'm confident.
Yeah. How would you rate yourself? So that's what I'm going to ask you. How, like a risk taker. Are you a risk taker or are you not a risk taker? That's what I'm going to ask you.
I'm not really a risk taker.
All right. You got anything to expand on that, or are we just going to go on to the next one? All right, we'll go on to the next one. Pretty cool stuff, don't you think? All right. Pretty cool stuff, don't you think? Make sure you watch all the different topics on this leadership. Oops. Okay. Preschool. Pretty cool stuff, don't you think? Hey, make sure you watch all the different topics of this lessons in the previous generation. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, please list them below. I'd love to hear them. And again, check out all the other stuff. I got an itch, I have to do this. Okay, let me do that again. Pretty cool stuff, don't you think? Make sure you watch all the different topics of this episodes. All right, stop it. You can stop it.